down the hammer and pick up the pencil. You're about to listen to the Savvy Radio Show. Learn from real-life real estate investors, experience revealed with the Savvy Landlord as your host.
Bing, bing, boom, boom. Welcome to the Savvy Radio Show. Man, I'm bringing it hot and fast and down and dirty, and you're about to blow your mind. Today is a special interview. I am interviewing one of my closest friends that have made me wealthy. That's right. I am living large based on wholesalers. A lot of people ask me all the time, where do you get your deals? How do you buy them at 60%, 50%, 70% LTV? And I always say it's simple. Wholesalers. And today we're going to cover wholesaling revealed deep down and get intimate with Shawn McVicker. He has been a rock star in the wholesale arena in Oklahoma City. I've had other wonderful wholesalers, but I know for firsthand I've bought over 10 properties from Shawn McVicker and his operation, and they with their marketing and their online presence and their systems that they've created, they are turning out 5 to 10 deals a month. And I don't want to get the cat out of the bag. I'm going to let Shawn do his thing. But we are promoting a class that's coming up in July that him and I are going to rock the world of wholesaling. If you have any interest in wholesaling at all, this is the guy that has coached me, has walked me through deals, and have partnered on deals together. And it's an honor to have you back on the show, Shawn McVicker.
Thanks for that intro, Stephen.
Pretty cool, huh? That was all candid. That was all genuine. That was not written down at all.
That's awesome.
I'm getting good at this Savvy Radio Show. Anyway, so Shawn, I know that I've interviewed you before a couple of 100 episodes ago, but I think you have a unique story. Why real estate? Where did you come from? First of all, how old are you? So let's set the stage.
Right now I'm 25.
25, and you got into real estate about 3 years ago. What piqued your interest? How did you get into real estate in general? Like, was it a book? Was it a TV commercial? Did some homie? How did you get into real estate?
What piqued my interest was an ebook. A friend of mine recommended. He found an ebook that he wanted to get. It was $50, and he asked me to split it with him. So I did. And it was a pretty unique ebook. It was a guy out in Connecticut who basically did a case study of his first 3 deals. Cool. And one was subject to, one was a short sale, and one was a wholesale. So it was pretty unique.
Yeah. And was it in depth, or did it give you all the information that you needed? Like when you read it, what happened?
Yeah, it was very in-depth, and what it did for me, it was like an instruction manual, one telling me about something I never knew existed, which was these different deal structures and, even creative real estate in general. But on top of that, he explained in, great detail how he did it. So any objection I could have possibly had was annihilated, and so all that was left was just pure exhilaration at the end of it.
Cool. It's fascinating. Even to this day, people don't even know what the word subject to existing mortgage is. And it's fascinating that this is out there and that you're willing to tell people and teach people about it. So you are in Oklahoma City now. When you read that book, where were you? Where were you living?
I was living in Woodward, Oklahoma.
Okay. And you were 22-ish?
Yeah, 22.
And what did you have a day job? Were you in school? Obviously, you're out of high school because they don't keep you in at 22 anymore.
Yeah.
I think 19 is the... Anyway, so you were out of school. So you went to high school. Did you graduate high school?
I did. I graduated high school.
Honors?
I made it.
Anyway, I'm reading another book called The Millionaire Mindset. And, you'd be fascinating. A lot of C people are millionaires. The A's are working for C's. This is fascinating. Anyway, so you graduated high school, then what?
Then I went to Oklahoma State University Institute of Technology out in Okmulgee for computer programming, and that didn't last.
Cool, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I thought I wanted to be a programmer. I like problem solving, but that was like going to a semi-advanced a semi-advanced course on being a mechanic and you've never, started a car before. Mm. It was, the kids there pretty much, knew what they were doing by the time they got there. And
so it was like Nerd Rock Central.
It was.
All right, so you realized that wasn't your deal. So then what? So are you still living at home at this time?
I was living in Okmulgee to do that, but I guess after that I did come home. I stayed.
Oh, so you went left the home to pursue computers and to live on campus there?
Yeah, I stayed in the dorm for a semester.
Oh, okay, cool. So tech school didn't work out, so then you're like, hey, my only option is to go home?
It was, this isn't working out. I'm going to go home and reevaluate.
What my life is going to be at 22 years old? Most people are chasing stuff. What was on your mind back then? I know you like cars. Anything else? Like, did you have a vision? Like, I know that I didn't get legit till I was 27, and I know that society is pushing that, they're still playing video games at 30. You're 22, realize that computers wasn't your deal, you're home. What were your activities during the day, at night? What were you thinking? Like, were you frustrated? Were you... Woodward for life? Did you have a dream at that time of what you wanted to do?
You mean post Okmulgee?
Yeah, during this time, like as a child, like at the 22 as a child. I know I'm 40 something, but you're half my age. But during I was like wind in the shaft. I was kind of just bouncing around, being a DJ. Wanted to be a programmer when I was in school. What was going through your mind? I mean, I know we're here today and you're passionate about real estate. What other things piqued your interest back then? Or what'd you want to do?
Really, two things. 22-year-old guy. I wanted to... I was interested in girls, and I was interested in doing something great with my life, and I had no idea what it was. So...
Cool, great with your life. I like that. But you didn't know what it was at the time?
I did not.
Cool.
I had no idea.
I think the girls thing is a normal thing, and it's kind of a should be,
Yeah.
Girls pursue them. Anyway, so you go back home, you're sitting at the house, then what? Like, you got to get a job? I mean, was your mom like, hey, go to work? Was there pressure? How did you, what was your job? Did you have a job?
Yeah, I was actually staying with my dad, and I just asked around a few different people. I wanted to know who in town that I knew was making the most money, at an entry-level job. And so I asked around a bit, a few friends, and the same thing kept coming back. It was some guys that were running water line to rig locations. It was a place called Water Dogs, and so they were making $1,500, $2,000 every 2 weeks. And anybody off the street could roll in there and do that. So I was like, okay, that's where I'm going to start.
So basically a truck driver.
This was a, entry level. I wasn't even driving trucks by this time.
What do you mean by bringing water?
We would take these 10-inch aluminum, 10-inch around aluminum pipes. They were probably about 30 feet long. So they're pretty big, but they only weighed, 40 pounds or so. It was pretty cool. So we just would run that for miles, from ponds to rig locations, and would pump water to the rig site.
To cool them off, I guess?
Thousands and thousands of gallons to pump downhole.
Wow. That's fascinating. So during this time, so you're like, hey, I got to make money. I want to do things. I want to do something great. Did college ever come to your mind? I mean, you went to tech school, it's kind of college. Did you ever want to pursue, or everyone goes to OU, OSU, or Cal Berkeley, let's say, or Stanford, or Harvard? Did you ever have a desire to go to school?
Yeah, at this time I thought school was kind of, how I was going to do it, so I thought I'd save up some money. But I met a girl who was going to school, so I decided to go to the same school, so we ended up going to Southwestern, and I did that for a semester.
In Weatherford?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that was awesome. I did that for a semester. It was much different, much more traditional. They took you from square one and beyond, as opposed to that tech school where they expect you to know everything already. But still, a similar problem I had in Okmulgee. When I was in Okmulgee, it was awful because I had no money and I was going to school all day. So I was working at Coca-Cola and I was making $200 a week. But I had a pretty sweet truck that I bought from my dad for $4,000, and the whole time I seemed to have a ticket on my record, so my entire paycheck was going to gas and speeding tickets. So, that was some motivation to leave there. But, it's a similar situation in Weatherford. I just, money was tight. I was living with a girl, and we had bills and groceries. And I decided, I'm going to take some time off. I'm going to get my license to drive trucks, save up a whole bunch of money, and then I'm going to finish school.
So you get your CDL?
Yeah.
In Weatherford?
Yeah.
Cool. So then you were looking for a job that paid, well?
More
than $200 a week.
Yeah. I got tired of being low man on the totem pole, having, nothing to stand for, and just being a peon, basically.
Right on. So then during this whole time, so now you're working in the truck field, and now you're still 22 years old, so we're kind of up to speed there. Then your buddy turns you on to this ebook, and you read this ebook. So that's where we're at now.
Mm-hmm.
How in the world you become the number one wholesaler in Oklahoma City? How did you come from there, from driving a truck, reading an ebook, to Oklahoma City?
I was at a point in my life where I was looking for something. I knew that school wasn't it, and I knew that I, hated working for these employers. And the one I worked for in Weatherford driving trucks really inspired me. His name was Rick Cook, and he owned this company that, we were hauling fuel. And he owned lots of things in town. He owned a steakhouse. He owned the, large travel stop gas station. Cool. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. How did he do that?
Yeah.
And
entrepreneur.
I heard rumors of the story. Him and his buddy in college, they went to Weatherford College, started a lawn mowing business. They started with a few lawns, and it grew and it grew and it grew. Then now they own, all this stuff, and they're like huge philanthropists in the city, and they're just awesome guys.
Sweet.
And I'm like, okay.
They can do it.
That's what I want to do. I was like, I'm going to start mowing some lawns. But I didn't do that.
It's too hot. So, okay. So what made the jump? What was the trigger? I mean, you got this book, it gave you the details, how to wholesale, what a subject to is, lease option. When was your first deal? When did you say, I'm going to commit to this? And why Oklahoma City? Why not Tulsa? Why not Dallas? Why not Colorado?
Man, I was anxious, and I was ready to pull the trigger. And it was largely my friend that recommended the book, Jack. He's the one that introduced me to the idea, through the book. And I went to Oklahoma City where he was living, and he, was working for a company that was doing that. And he basically said, hey, I live in a 1-bedroom studio apartment with my girlfriend. I'm going to buy a house. When I buy a house, do you want to move up here? I'm like, this is my shot. I was planning on trying it in Woodward, population 13,000.
Trying to be a wholesaler there.
Yeah, I was going to put up some signs, but he's like, hey, come move in. I'm like, okay, you buy a house, I'm there. And it happened a lot quicker than I expected.
And Jack, how old is Jack? He was young too, right?
Yeah, he was a year older than me. He was 23.
Wow. And he bought his first property to live in.
Yeah, he got a FHA loan, nice foreclosure, $100,000 house in
Oklahoma City?
Yeah, 3-bed, 2-bath.
Yep.
He got it for $40,000.
With no job?
He had a job for like 4 months.
Creative real estate. All right, so you moved to Oklahoma City, you read the book, and then you're sitting in some dude's crib paying $400 a month rent, right? Mm-hmm. Is that what it was? Because I know Jack's a hustler. So how'd you get off your butt? What was the first thing you did? You went and bought bandit signs?
Wrote letters. The very first thing was write letters. Bought a list. Went to Walmart. Bought stamps from Walmart in the middle of the night and just spent hours handwriting these yellow letters. Yellow pieces of paper, red ink, stuffing envelopes. We did 867 of them, I think.
Wow, your first time.
Yeah.
That's remarkable. That's tenacity. Because, my hand would be on fire.
That's a chunk of change.
Yeah. So that was probably all of your money. Or close to it.
Yeah, I came with a little savings, $4,000. So that's to get me a few months rent, some marketing. I figured I had about 3 months to make
of
this
survival.
Work. Yeah.
Man, I since I've known you for 3 years, I've seen you go through cars. I've seen you do all this stuff. I never knew it started out like that. So 830 something letters went out. Then what happened on that? And first, so you bought this list random, and you'll get into that some other time, but you got a list. You bought the list. started writing all these letters. You put them in the mail. Was this your regular basic phone? Were you savvy back then? Did you have a Google Voice number?
Yeah, I was using Google Voice, but they were going to my phone through Google Voice. I didn't have them going to voicemail or anything like that. So, just be in the middle of my day doing something, whatever I was doing, and my phone started ringing. People calling me say, "What are you going to give me for my house?" And I'm like,
what's your address?
Oh,
that's awesome. And so you learned by fire?
Yeah.
So you just went out and started answering questions. So do you remember what those were?
Just in the trenches. I mean, it was just dumped on me with call after call after call, and it was great. But I just turned it on them. I said, "Well, tell me about your house." I just kept putting the questions on them, just giving me time to think.
That's what introverts do. They just reverse it on them. Yeah. You don't want to answer a question, ask a question. So it works on sellers. Key fact right there, number one, ask them what they want. So do you know what 800 and something houses letters yielded? Do you remember how many calls? I know that was a long time ago. Did you pop any deals?
I don't remember how many calls it got, but I made 3 deals out of it.
Wow.
Which is unreal.
So tell me about the numbers. What'd you make? Is that one deal on the double closing you got hammered on at my title company?
Yeah, one of them.
That's put a sore in your heart. I know. I still talk about. Anyway,
yeah,
we'll get into that later. But so you got 3 deals. What were they? What'd you yield?
First deal was my very first wholesale deal. Was fantastic. It beat me, scarred me. It was rough, but I made $3,800, and it showed me this is real. It was awesome. So I happened to squeeze 2 more out of that those calls, and this was just because I spent more time on the phone with these sellers than any sane person would or should. One of them I made $1,000 on. After that, I think that was my third one, but my second one I made $162. And that was because I got trumped up with some closing costs that I wasn't expecting. Right,
because the contract was worded.
Yeah.
So you've learned, during this whole process, I'm assuming that your first deal you made $3,000 some change. You said?
Yep.
You were ecstatic. You were on fire. And what'd you do with that? I mean, what were you thinking? Go buy a car with $3,000? I mean, most kids out there, 23 years old, just got a check for almost $4,000 in one transaction. It wasn't hard work. I mean, it was, but it wasn't. It was fun.
Yeah. It was a little bittersweet. It was amazing because this works, but at the same time, I was joint venturing with Jack on that list, so I immediately gave him 50% of the profits, and then I gave him $400 for rent, and then I had $1,500 for a prior obligation. One of my first Oklahoma City real estate investor meetings I went to, they talked about this infamous cruise that everybody should go on, and so Jack and I wrote hot checks, $1,500, told the guy, just wait, give us 60 days, their money will be there. And
oh man.
So
I mean, I think that's kind of cool. You kind of set this expectation in yourself to perform. Mm-hmm. And did you know that's how I bought my first deal too?
Yeah.
I wrote a check of $700, and back then you had 3 days to get it closed, to fund it. And I went and pawned everything I could to sell. I mean, I to this day, I put myself in those type of positions where I have to perform. I sold a course, a virtual assistant course, and I haven't finished it. And when I sold them at the presentation, I had to deliver them. Do you still use that technique today?
Yeah, I do, more than I should.
Right, you don't seem too enthusiastic about it.
It's kind of like putting your back up against the wall. I call it self-sabotage. I mean, familiar term, but good and bad situations. Whether it's something you want to achieve or something you should achieve, but you don't. You
Sure.
kind of sabotage yourself. But you can use it to your benefit. Yes, put yourself in situations where you have to perform. Set the stakes high, like committing to you that I was going to speak at, Investor Weekend. I was petrified, but, I committed, and, that was all there was to it.
What's the worst thing that can happen? You do well? I mean, what's not well? I think not well is not trying. I think doing is success. But that's me. So you got your first deal. You're excited. How in the world, 3 years later, several businesses later, you're still doing it? What is, I mean, is it the thrill, the excitement, the money, the fame and fortune of all the ladies? No, I'm just like, I mean, but how are you? I really don't know too many, wholesalers are still in business 3 years later, several business heartaches, successes, failures. What is sustaining you, and how are you keeping going?
What keeps me going is essentially I've come too far to stop. I put all my eggs in this basket whenever I moved to Oklahoma City. My dad told me, with this insincere, look on his face, I hope it works out for you. Completely, no faith in what I was going to do or that I'd do it. And I've completely blown away his expectations, but, you
make more than him.
Yeah.
I mean, it's awesome. I mean, I love smashing the haters, the naysayers.
Yeah. And, essentially, I did that, but I'm not where I want to be. The wholesaling right now is amazing, and I'm learning so much, but, right now it's the vehicle to get me where I ultimately want to go, and it's not over until I get there.
Sure. Man, on another episode, we'll get into, what your goals and dreams are. You're passionate about sharing and growing. A lot of people have asked you to do it, and you finally committed after years of me begging you to, let's do a class together and teach people how to do this. What gave you that desire to do that? Like to share your knowledge? Because you have it down on lockdown. You have your marketing down on lockdown. You have your transactions down on lockdown. You have your contracts down on lockdown. Most people are not willing to share this information. What gave you the green light to do that?
For me, it's because that's how I got where I am. All the people that opened up to me and mentored me and helped me from day one with Jack to, all the many mentors I've got and had today. It's people opening up, their minds and their businesses to me. And now I see the opportunity for me to do the same. There's people that are going to be receptive to what I have to say, and, they want to do, what we're doing. So that really means a lot.
Cool. So basically, you're giving back to people that have given you.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I have been doing this for 16 years. I'm into personal development for a long time, probably 20 years. And I've never really met anyone that pays for coaching. I mean, I'm being serious. Like, people look at me when I spend $500 on a course or $1,000. They think I'm on drugs. And you could, I've had business people say you could use that money to build your business. And I think the number one asset is yourself. The more you invest in yourself, the better. I mean, just healthily, physically, emotionally. But you're 25 years old. Since I've known you 22, you've always invested in yourself with a coach. And you spend a lot of money because I ask you. I mean, you spend thousands of dollars on coaching, and you've hired the very best coaches. Where did you get that from? And has anyone encouraged you? Why? And what have you learned? I mean, I know that's a lot of questions in there, but first let's cover it simply. Why do you do it?
I'm not sure what exactly inspired it in the first place. It might have been Jack. The first day he sat me down, he showed me so many things about real estate that completely blew my mind. From the county assessor, simple things. Like the county assessor, the way the city was laid out, the different demographics, who bought where in what areas, what each area meant. Those little bitty things, those little, what do you call them, intricacies about the business were so small, but you wouldn't know them unless, you had done the business.
Or someone shared them.
Exactly, yeah. And someone shared them with me, and it had such a huge impact on my success. So it just continued in that direction. The more people I met, I would look for those things, the little intricacies and the different mentors. So everyone, had something, they had their own unique perspective on things. So that's essentially why I do it. Is I know that.
So basically, you're getting a nugget from it. There's always been a return. Have you ever paid for coaching and it didn't give it was like wah, wah, or is it always? I mean, what's the success rate? Because I mean, I know that you've hired guys at $10,000 to help you in like when your wholesaling business was going really well and you were making a transaction, and I was like, dude, you hired that guy? How much was he? And you're like, 10,000. Did you get a return? And I know that I'm calling you out here on the radio, but I mean, did it work?
The return was unbelievable, and it completely changed my life. And that's something I stand by majorly with mentors is, spend the money now to cut your learning curve immensely. You can go through and stumble and trip and fall your whole way to success, and that's just not the way I like to do things. If there's a quicker, shorter route, I'm going to do it. Money can be made. I can make more money, but time is invaluable. And by getting a mentor, it's essentially what I'm doing is buying my time. I knew that, one little idea, if he gave me one strategy, anything that would help me be a little more competitive, give me a little more edge in my community, then, $10,000, I could make that back in no time. But to answer your question about the return, yes, it completely changed my life. Since I hired him, I have been to less than 5 appointments myself to actually meet with sellers. My total focus has been growing and developing my team. He taught me how to turn this wholesaling gig into a real business. And from the 6 months prior to hiring him, I had made $100,000 in wholesale commissions. The 6 months following, I did double that.
Yeah, and I remember when you started, you were so busy. You were running around like a freaking chicken. I mean, we would just be at lunch and your phone would be just nonstop. Obviously, when I saw your phone ring, I was like, oh, that's a seller. My mind, I'm like, let me get that deal. But in your mind, you're like going crazy and you probably didn't rest. And so this mentor, we won't reveal his name because this is not the mentor show, but, it gave you a different perspective and put you on the right track and then doubled your business. So that, yes, I guess that $10,000 yielded tenfold.
Yeah, just from the very first deal that, he inspired that I would not have done without him, I actually made $25,000.
Yeah, one of my mentors mentored under Pat, and it was $1,000 for a Saturday. And I was like, wow, $1,000. I mean, when you look at 10,000, 1,000, it's a lot of money. It is. I understand. And he went on a bus tour with Pat, and Pat was like, hey, if no one buys this house, I'm going to buy it. My buddy bought the house and made like $15,000 off it. I mean, it's just insane. Like, I think people are just fearful. There's people out there that just want the answers, want the silver bullet, and then some people don't. They just want to pay for the course or pay for the coaching and expect return. I think we're missing a caveat here is that you actually worked hard and you implemented the plan.
Yeah.
So it's not just buying the coach or the course. It's about getting it done and actually committing to it. It's
about doing what they tell you. I'd done this for 3 years. He'd done it for 13. He's got a decade of experience that I can avoid if, just by what he can tell me.
Yeah. And I know my students, I mean, I love it when they're super successful and they just follow exactly, I do it this way. I mean, it's not the right way, but this is how I get bank funding. This is how I do my financial statement. You can Google up and figure out how to do a financial statement, but someone that's getting bank funding today and you get a copy of their financial statement, it only just shortens the pain and anguish. How do you stay committed now through this? Is it something new all the time? What drives you now today?
What drives me today is to not have to work anymore.
So you're striving for freedom.
Yeah, I'm working, trying to work myself,
out of a job
and into freedom. That's why I'm trying to build this as a business and, invest in rental properties.
And your systems, right? Because systems create the freedom so you can have someone else. It's a fascinating, before as a wholesaler, you would get the call, you would call the people back, you would go on the appointment, you would make the offer, create the contract. But now you have a VA do your contracts. You have a acquisition gentleman that goes on the field and then you have a lady that sells the property.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, basically, what do you do? Just collect checks now?
Well, yesterday, I did the most of my job, and I sat down with my team, and I I had all their reports written up. I sat down with my acquisitions guy, and I said, you made this many calls on these days, you had this many appointments, this many contracts, this was your goal. Why didn't you achieve it, or how did you achieve it? Essentially that. Got a report from our saleswoman, she's a rock star, told us, how many calls we had per properties, how many showings, how many offers, contracts, etc., and what our pipeline looked like. So it's cool. Now I get to kind of be CEO. I get to, help everybody grow, make more money, and just grow the organization. It's a lot of fun.
Man, I'm excited to see. I mean, you guys are on fire. So we got a class coming up July 21st, 2016. I'm super stoked. What are you going to, it's called Wholesaling Revealed. Tell me more about that.
Wholesaling Revealed. So that's just it. We're going to show exactly how we do what we do.
So we're going to cut the flesh, open up the chest cavity, and get to the heart of the matter. I mean, you're going to tell me about how you use Podio.
Yes.
You're going to tell me how you're going to market.
Yep.
And I can steal all your ideas? All
of them.
It's not stealing, because I mean, people get all weird about it. I think it's not. There's so many houses out there. There's over 1 million houses in Oklahoma City.
There is. We're doing X amount of deals a month. And what blows our mind is, we hear about 10, 15, 20 other people who are doing X amount of deals. We're just like, our business can grow, immensely, nonstop, to hear about how many other deals are being done out there. It just kind of eliminates all the fears of there's not enough.
Plus, I'm wholesaling right now, and I mean, my board. You see my board up there?
Yeah, exactly. I see all your properties, and it's to think
those are wholesale deals up there.
Yeah, to see I've never ran across any of those addresses.
and I'm doing my own system, and I'm going to reveal my system that on the 21st with you too. I know that you'll take the lion's share, because you are a way better at wholesale. I'm just a baby wholesaler. You're the one that introduced me. My very first wholesale deal was with you. We're going to cover that in another episode, which I think is exciting. But anyway, we're going to wrap this up. You have tuned in to the Savvy Radio Show with Shawn McVicker, the wholesale extraordinaire in, Speedy Homes and Shawn Buys Houses. And you just got a glimpse of who Shawn is, and we're going to cover next week more about Shawn and what we're going to teach on July 21st. So if you do not have a ticket, you need to get it. How do we get tickets now? Through Eventbrite? Is that how we're doing it?
Yep, there's Eventbrite, or
we'll do it on my website too. But you go to classokc.com or the Savvy Landlord and .me or whatever. Anyway, any final thoughts, Shawn, before we wrap this up?
I just can't wait to see you guys there. I've been really excited about this event.
Yeah, when you revealed it, everyone blew it up on Facebook. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah,
you have a lot of fans. And I think that you do, because you're genuine. You really listen to people, and you really want to help people. And I'm excited your success and just to be a part of it. So anyway, that's July 21st coming up, Oklahoma City. If you want to fly in, you can. You might even crash on my couch, because we want to blow this deal up. We remodeled the office. We got about 70 seats, and we want you to come check it out. It's only $60 for by yourself, 60-something bucks. And then for two people, $100. So bring your spouse or your significant other. Anyway, I'm signing off. This is Steve Van Kallenberg, the SavvyRadioShow.com, and spread the word. And whatever you do, go buy assets.
Thanks for listening to the Savvy Radio Show. Glide online and listen to our other motivating episodes at SavvyRadioShow.com. Connect on Twitter at LandlordBook, and always be buying assets.